You just hit your first $100,000. Congratulations! According to the Federal Reserve's latest data, you're now part of the 65% of American families who reach this milestone. But here's the statistic that matters more. Most of them never reach $1 million. Why? Because they don't realize the strategy that got them here is now their biggest liability. Today, I'll show you the data-backed three-phase shift to ensure you're in the group that does. Let's begin with Phase 1, the financial stress test. This isn't beginner advice. It's about reinforcing your success. Hitting your first 6 figures is a monumental achievement, a testament to discipline and hard work. But it also paints a target on your back, not from others, but from a force far more insidious: lifestyle inflation. The strategies of aggressive saving and hustle that got you to this point are centered on accumulation. Now, with a significant amount of capital, the game shifts from pure offense to strategic defense. Your foundation needs to be more than just a pile of cash. It needs to be an engineered buffer against the new, larger risks you face. Your income is likely higher, your expenses have probably crept up, and a sudden job loss or economic downturn has a much greater financial impact than it did when you were starting from zero. This is why we reframe the concept of an emergency fund. It's not just a safety net. It's a deliberate stress test of your financial structure against today's economic reality. Without this fortified base, your hard-won capital is exposed, vulnerable to being chipped away by unexpected events or, even more commonly, bled dry by the slow, seductive creep of a more expensive lifestyle. So, let's calculate the real number for that foundation. The old rule of thumb, save 3 to 6 months of expenses, is dangerously vague in our current economic climate. What does that number actually look like? To answer that, we have to look at the data. A 2024 analysis by Go Banking Rates, which pulls data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics and Zillow, estimates that to live comfortably as a single person in a major U.S. city, you need a salary well over $80,000, and in some cities, over $100,000. More importantly, this analysis shows that essential costs alone, things like housing, food, transportation, and healthcare, can easily push past $50,000 annually. If your essential costs are $50,000 per year, that breaks down to approximately $4,167 per month. A 6-month emergency fund, therefore, isn't a vague goal. It's a specific, calculated target of $25,000. This isn't a number you guess. It's a number you derive from your actual spending. A generic emergency fund is no longer enough because the financial shocks are larger and the cost of maintaining your life is higher. You need a fund calculated against your specific current expenses, providing a true 6-month runway to navigate any challenge without having to touch your long-term investments or go into debt. Those are the numbers. Now let's see how this stress test applies to a real person. Meet Alex. Alex is 35 years old, a senior project manager living in Denver, Colorado, earning a salary of $95,000 a year. He's done an incredible job and has just crossed a net worth of $100,000. Part of that net worth is a $20,000 emergency fund sitting in a traditional savings account at his big-name bank, earning a microscopic 0.1% APY. On the surface, this looks responsible. But when we apply the stress test, we find 2 critical vulnerabilities. First, we look at his expenses. Alex's annual essential costs are $48,000, which means his monthly burn rate is exactly $4,000. A 6-month fund for him should be $24,000. He's $4,000 short. If he faced a 6-month emergency, he would run out of cash before he found a new footing. The second, more hidden problem is the return on his cash. His $20,000 is earning just $20 a year in interest. Meanwhile, according to the latest Consumer Price Index data from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, as of November 2024, inflation is running at 3.1%. This isn't just about low earnings. It's about a real loss of purchasing power. His money is losing over 3% of its value to inflation while gaining only 0.1% in interest. A guaranteed loss each year. So, what's the actionable step? First, Alex recalculates his required fund size. $4,000 per month times 6 months equals a target of $24,000. He reallocates $4,000 from his investment accounts to fully fund his emergency buffer. Second, and this is the crucial move, he opens a high-yield savings account. As of December 2024, data from Bankrate and NerdWallet shows that top HYSAs are offering over 4.5% APY. He moves the entire $24,000 into one of these accounts. The outcome is transformative. His emergency fund is now properly sized to withstand a real-world crisis. And instead of earning a trivial $24 per year, his fund now generates approximately $1,080 in interest. That's a 45-fold increase. More importantly, at 4.5% APY, his cash is now beating the 3.1% inflation rate. His safety net isn't just sitting there, it's actively working, preserving its own purchasing power. This simple, risk-free move turns his biggest financial vulnerability into a stable, productive asset. It's the first and most critical step in fortifying the foundation your first $100,000 is built on. Once your foundation is bulletproof, you can go on offense. But not with stocks first. The biggest guaranteed return is hiding in a place most people see as a pure expense. Which brings us to Phase 2. This brings us to Phase 2. The tax-advantaged offensive. From the moment you cross the $100,000 threshold, the financial landscape changes. Your single largest, most consistent expense for the rest of your working life will be taxes. For many professionals, federal, state, and local taxes can consume 25%, 30%, or even more of their income. The core principle of this phase is simple. The highest guaranteed return on your money is no longer found in picking the next hot stock, but in systematically and legally minimizing your tax burden. Think about it this way. If you're in a 24% federal tax bracket, every dollar you can shield from taxes is a guaranteed 24% return on that dollar. No investment in the stock market can promise that kind of certainty. This isn't about tax evasion. It's about tax efficiency. It's about understanding the rules of the game so well that you can use the incentives the government has created, specifically through tax-advantaged retirement and savings accounts, to their absolute maximum potential. Shifting your focus from how much can I earn to how much can I keep is the professional-grade mindset that separates those who build wealth slowly from those who build it exponentially. To execute this, we use what I call the Waterfall strategy, and it's based on the hard numbers for 2024 directly from the IRS. According to IRS Notice 2023-75, for 2024, the employee contribution limit for a 401k is $23,000. For a Roth IRA, it's $7,000. And for a health savings account, or HSA, It's $4,150 for an individual with self-only coverage. Everyone tells you to max out your 401k. For most people in your position, according to the IRS rules, that is mathematically the wrong first move. Here is the exact waterfall sequence to use instead. Step 1. Contribute to your 401k just enough to get the full employer match. If your employer matches 100% of your contributions up to 6% of your salary, you contribute exactly 6%, not a penny more. For now, this is free money, a 100% guaranteed return on your investment. It is the single best deal in all of finance. Step 2. After securing the match, you immediately pivot and max out your health savings account, or HSA, if you have access to one through a high-deductible health plan. You contribute the full $4,150. Why? Because the HSA is the most powerful tax-advantaged account in existence. It has a triple tax advantage. Your contributions are tax-deductible this year, lowering your current taxable income. The money grows completely tax-free, and withdrawals for qualified medical expenses, now or in retirement, are also completely tax-free. It's a retirement account disguised as a health account. Step 3. Once the HSA is maxed out, you move on to max out a Roth IRA, contributing the full $7,000 for 2024. The Roth IRA's superpower is on the back end. While your contributions are made with post-tax dollars, the money grows tax-free, and all qualified withdrawals in retirement are 100% tax-free. This provides critical tax diversification. If tax rates are higher in the future, which is a distinct possibility, you'll have a bucket of money that is completely immune to those rates. Step 4. Only after you have secured your 401k match, maxed your HSA, and maxed your Roth IRA, do you return to your 401k and increase your contributions above the match, up to the $23,000 annual limit. This strategy ensures you've captured the best advantages first: the free money from the match, the unparalleled triple tax benefit of the HSA, and the tax-free withdrawal flexibility of the Roth IRA, before loading up on more pre-tax savings. Let's bring Alex back into the picture. With his $95,000 salary, he's been diligently contributing 10% of his pay, or $9,500 a year, straight into his 401k. He thinks he's being responsible, but his strategy is tax inefficient. He's contributing far beyond his employer's 6% match before taking advantage of other, more powerful accounts. Let's apply the waterfall strategy to his finances. First, he reduces his 401k contribution from 10% down to the 6% employer match. On his $95,000 salary, that's a contribution of $5,700. This immediately frees up cash flow. Second, he opens and maxes out an HSA, contributing the full $4,150 allowed for self-only coverage in 2024. This contribution is tax-deductible, so it will directly lower his taxable income for the year. Third, he opens and maxes out a Roth IRA, contributing the $7,000 allowed for 2024. The total he is now strategically investing is $16,850. $5,700 plus $4,150 plus $7,000. This is more than his original $9,500. But the crucial insight is the order and efficiency. The outcome is profound. Alex's investment portfolio is now massively more efficient. He has assets growing in 3 different tax advantage buckets: a pre-tax bucket the 401k, a triple tax advantage bucket, the HSA, and a tax-free withdrawal bucket, the Roth IRA. This move immediately lowers his current tax bill and, more importantly, gives him incredible flexibility and resilience against future changes in tax law. He is building a tax-diversified portfolio, which is a massively powerful lever for wealth creation on the journey to $1 million. Which of these accounts, 401k, HSA, Roth IRA, are you currently using? Let me know in the comments. I'm curious to see the breakdown. This leads us to the final and most critical step, Phase 3. The capital owner shift. The first two phases were about building a fortress and going on the offensive. This final phase is about a fundamental shift in your identity. With a net worth of $100,000 and growing, you are no longer just a saver or an earner. You are a capital owner. A saver's primary job is to put money aside. An earner's job is to increase their income. A capital owner's job is different. It is to deploy capital efficiently and, most importantly, protect that capital from being eroded by hidden forces. The biggest of these forces, the silent killer of wealth, is fees. When your net worth was small, a 1% fee felt insignificant, but on a six-figure portfolio, that same percentage becomes a catastrophic drag on your long-term growth. Adopting the capital owner mindset means you become relentlessly focused on efficiency and cost. You recognize that your primary duty is to keep as much of your capital working for you as possible, rather than for financial institutions. This isn't about being cheap. It's about being a professional. Professional investors are obsessed with costs, and now you must be too. Let's quantify the enemy. A 1% management fee is the standard charge for many financial advisors. It sounds negligible. It feels like a small price to pay for professional guidance. But let's run the exact math to reveal the true cost of that seemingly tiny fee. We'll use a standard future value calculation. Let's assume you have a $100,000 portfolio and it's projected to grow at an average of 7% per year over the next 30 years. Without any fees, that $100,000 will grow to approximately $761,000. That's the power of compounding. Now, let's introduce that seemingly harmless 1% fee. This fee reduces your net return from 7% to 6%. What does your portfolio grow to now? Over those same 30 years, your $100,000 grows to only $574,000. The difference between those two outcomes is $187,000. That is the real price of that 1% fee. It's not 1%. It's nearly $200,000 of your future wealth vaporized. I want you to stop and actually picture $187,000. For many people, that's a down payment on a house. It's a child's entire college education. It's years of spending in retirement. And it's what you are unintentionally lighting on fire by ignoring a tiny 1% fee. It's a perfect example of a hidden drag that can decimate your journey to $1 million, turning a potential 7-figure portfolio into something much smaller. The strategic solution is thankfully simple, though it requires discipline. The first step is to systematically identify and eliminate high-fee funds and advisors. Audit every investment you hold. Look for the expense ratio on mutual funds and ETFs. Look for assets under management, or AUM, fees from advisors. The second step is to consolidate your accounts where possible and utilize low-cost, broad-market index funds. The alternative to a high-fee advisor isn't complex day trading. As of December 2024, you can buy the entire U.S. stock market through an ETF like VTI from Vanguard, which has an expense ratio of around 0.03%. Or you can invest in the S&P 500 through an ETF like VOO. Data from BlackRock and Vanguard confirms these funds have expense ratios below 0.05%. Let's compare the numbers. A 1% AUM fee is 33 times more expensive than a 0.03% expense ratio on VTI. You are getting nearly identical exposure to the market for a fraction of the cost. This single, unemotional decision to cut your investment costs to the bone has a greater, more predictable, and more significant long-term impact on your final net worth than almost any attempt to pick winning stocks or time the market. It is the ultimate move of a true capital owner. Let's check in with Alex one last time. Having fortified his emergency fund and optimized his tax strategy, he's now feeling confident. He feels he has graduated to a new level and starts thinking he needs a professional financial advisor. This is a common and dangerous psychological trap. He considers an advisor who charges a standard 1% assets under management fee. He incorrectly perceives this fee as the cost of doing business for serious investors, a sign that he's made it. But before he signs the paperwork, he does the math we just walked through. He uses a future value calculator and sees with his own eyes that the 1% fee on his growing portfolio will reduce his final balance by $187,000 in 30 years. That number is a shock to the system. He then compares this to the alternative, researching low-cost index funds like Vanguard's VTI or Fidelity's zero-cost FZROX. He realizes he can build a globally diversified, simple portfolio for an annual cost of less than 0.05%. The choice becomes clear. He adopts the capital owner mindset. He decides to self-manage a simple, low-cost portfolio instead of paying a high fee for similar, or often worse, performance. In making this decision, Alex avoids the $187,000 fee drag, effectively adding that amount back to his future net worth. More than that, he gains the skill and confidence to manage his own capital, which is the final critical step in the journey from $100,000 to $1 million and beyond. If this math on fees was an eye-opener for you, do me a favor and hit the like button. It tells me this is the kind of data you find most valuable. Let's recap the three-phase shift that takes you from $100,000 to the next level. First, we stress-tested your foundation. We moved beyond generic advice and calculated your real 6-month emergency fund based on today's high cost of living, ensuring that cash is not just sitting idle, but actively beating inflation in a high-yield savings account, earning over 4.5%. Second, we went on offense by building a tax-advantaged waterfall. Using the specific 2024 IRS limits, we mapped out the most efficient order to fund your accounts. 401k to the match, then maxing out your HSA, then your Roth IRA before returning to the 401k. This strategy minimizes your largest expense, taxes, and maximizes your long-term tax-diversified wealth. Third, we made the crucial shift to a capital owner mindset. We quantified the devastating long-term impact of fees, showing how eliminating a mere 1% management fee can add a staggering $187,000 back to your 30-year net worth. This focus on efficiency is the hallmark of sophisticated wealth building. Now, here is your plan of action. Immediate action for this week. Log into your savings account and check the APY. If it's not over 4%, your assignment is to find one that is and open the account. It's the easiest win you will get all year. Short-term action for this month. Review your investment contributions. Pull up your pay stub in your account settings. Are you following the optimal tax-advantaged waterfall? Or are you leaving massive tax benefits on the table by over-contributing to one account before maxing out others? Adjust your contributions to follow the sequence we discussed. Long-term action for this quarter. Audit every single investment you own for fees. Create a spreadsheet. List the fund, and next to it, list its expense ratio or any AUM fee you're paying. Identify any expense ratio over 0.5% or any AUM fee and make a concrete plan to switch to a lower-cost alternative within the next 90 days. If you found this data-driven approach valuable and want more evidence-based financial strategies to continue your journey, subscribe to the channel. And finally, I want to hear from you. Comment below with which of the 3 phases, fortifying your foundation, the tax-advantaged offensive, or the capital owner shift, you're going to work on first. I am not a financial advisor, and this video is for educational purposes only. All investment decisions involve risk. All data is from the sources cited, as of the dates mentioned in the video. Please consult with a licensed professional for advice tailored to your individual situation.